Today, the topic we will be focusing on is women's health and education in India. India is currently considered a developing country and has a population around 1.4 billion people. It is never growing as it is ever growing due to the fertility rate being over the replacement rate. As their population grows, it is important to think about how climate change may affect public health. Pollution, overall health and well-being, and access to education are key factors to put into consideration. Women are currently not educated well in reproductive health due to a patriarchal system. It is important for future population that this changes. This presentation will focus on the current problems and give perspective on the trajectory of this situation in 2035, as well as both optimistic and realistic top-down and bottom-up approaches.
As India continues to boom economically, much of the progressive policy and social sentiment that begins to flourish as countries develop is not there for the women of India, and we see that they suffer from isolated issues that do not affect men. While rural healthcare is an issue that widely affects people regardless of gender, women in rural areas with almost no access to reproductive healthcare and education are hugely negatively affected due to gender-specific health conflictions. As a direct result of this, we see maternal mortality in India being among the highest in the world in rural areas, according to a 2012 book by Jeffrey Hammer. Studies as recent as the 2010s show a huge bias in healthcare towards men in India, as well as a longer average life expectancy and far higher caloric and nutritional intake. So we see a ton of issues arising from this inequality towards women. The fact that India's culture and society is so male-centered creates a difficult feedback loop for Indian women, as there are a lack of female voices and perspectives trying to break the loop of subjugation. In between family care and household work, women in India will often try to take their own place in society through entrepreneurship, despite it being a space dominated by men. It's great that women are confident enough and taking the initiative for this, just a huge issue that they must attempt it through such a grassroots way all by themselves.
Now moving on to another factor that is affecting women's health is pollution in India. India is known for its increase in pollution, especially after 1998. It has increased by 22%, which also affects the average life expectancy. As seen in the graph on the right, we can see that cities like Delhi, which is known to be one of the biggest cities in India, has more pollution compared to cities like Rajasthan, which runs more like a village and uses less things that lead to pollution, like cars and other technology. And now moving on to the effects of pollution on the country are like temperature, which has increased by 4.4 degrees Celsius over the years, leading to more global warming. Another effect of pollution is drought, which is affecting the farmers in the country. India is 60% of the population works in agriculture industry, and the map on the right showcases the red areas as having severe drought, which are bigger cities getting affected most by the pollution and having more droughts. And pollution also plays a big role in women's health and education by limiting their resources. And now we're going to move on to some of the solutions.
A bottom-up solution where better education for women in India encourages innovation and technological advancements. This will allow women to contribute to the economy significantly, where by 2035, there will be an addition of new businesses which will add more jobs to India's economy, and it will lead to more spending, which adds money to India's economy, and also financial independence for women, which is beneficial in general. Thus, better women's education benefits the social and economic aspects of India, which will make the country efficient and also make women's living situation better. Next, please.
Furthermore, there are many top-down solutions where we can tackle women's health issues. This will allow more enforcement of women's health and shift the perspective into making women's health a priority and a right for all women. Next slide, please. We can see these proposed solutions through more awareness made during schools for girls growing up, and this will allow improved knowledge and decreased stigmatization about their women's health issues, improving access to healthcare through lowered costs, more transportation, and more female physicians, and increased policy through the government, which will allow implementation and increased funding for women's health. There are many examples of successfully implemented solutions, such as in Europe, where we have 95% of the women having access to reproductive services, in America, where there are women's health education incorporated into schools, in Australia, where millions of dollars are allocated towards women's health and research, and in Canada through governmental support for women's health issues and their costs. Thank you, and here are our references.